Hello everyone, welcome to the Learn How to Call Games series for Quincy University and especially our sports broadcasting department within our communication degree. So my name is Nora Baldner, I am a professor of communication here, and I've asked my friend Jeff Dorsey to join me today to do a series of videos that describe how to do play-by-play for sports broadcasting. How to do play-by-play, how to do color analysis, how to prepare, what are some great tips? What are your best memories? Hopefully we'll get a best memory out of Jeff if you probably have quite a few.
You don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, right. So stay with us. We're going to do this in a series, and hopefully we'll get some information, and especially we're getting great information from one of the best, if not the best, in the area for sure.
You're too
sports
kind.
broadcasting.
Too kind.
So, Jeff, can you kind of just give us a real snapshot of your background, your longtime radio personality in Quincy and that sort of thing?
First of all, born in Brooklyn, New York, moved to upstate New York to a dairy farm area, which was a real adventure to go from the city to that as a kid, and then eventually family moved out to Kansas City. That's where I got my first radio job, working in the Kansas City area. Worked there for 4 years. In 1978, I came here. I thought I'd stay for 2 or 3 years, and here I am. Well, I just retired, but for the most part, I was here for 48 years in the business, 45 of them here. So this is really my home. How
did you recognize this was your passion, that radio and broadcasting were your passion? How did you know that, and how do you describe your passion?
Well, I got to go back to my dad because he played some minor league baseball, made it to the Pacific Coast League. So baseball was in our family, although he wasn't doing that when I was a kid. He had gotten past that part of his life. But we were baseball fans. And my dad would take me to Yankee Stadium with my brother and see the Yankees. We were big Yankee fans. The Dodgers had moved out of Brooklyn at that point. And the funny story about that very quickly is that I'd never really seen a lot of grass in my life at the age of 5 or 6. Okay. Brooklyn didn't have a lot of grass. And then we'd see the games.
It has one tree, right?
Yeah, it has one tree, and it wasn't on my block either, right. I'll tell you. But he took us to Yankee Stadium, and we would watch the games on TV quite a bit. And in that day, those times in the 50s, it was black and white TV. So the outfield was a different color gray than the infield was. But I didn't know what color anything was until I got to Yankee Stadium. We took the subway out to the Bronx. We walked a block and a half to the stadium, walked up the ramp, walked into the stadium, and there's all this green stuff out there. And I still remember vividly asking my dad, what is all the green out there? And he said, that's grass.
Wow.
But that's how I got into being a baseball fan through the Yankees and love of the Yankees. And my passion for the broadcasting of it came from listening to them on the radio. The Yankees had some great announcers, and Mel Allen and Red Barber at those times, and Phil Rizzuto later. So you had some all-time great broadcasters on the Yankees. Now, I didn't know that as a kid. I just listened to Yankee baseball. I didn't know anything about the Jack Bucks and the Harry Careys that were out in the Midwest. So, I picked up on that later when I moved out to the Midwest. But so that's how my passion started, really. And I played baseball for quite a long time, too. It's just in my blood.
Okay.
Through my dad, basically.
And so that's your love of not only the game, but the industry and the
I just didn't understand how a little transistor radio, which we all had then, with nothing connected to it, could get a voice to come out of it. And that's what we had. We'd sit there and listen to the games on the transistor radio. And it was just like, that fascinated me.
And so you weren't watching the game on television. So as you're listening, your own mind, your own brain is creating the visuals for you.
Definitely.
Correct?
I mean, that's all you had. Depending on what the announcer was saying, you could see what was going on, at least by listening to what he was saying. And then we got to watch the games on TV eventually, and then you can pick up more detail of the game itself because it's more visual, of course. But the radio broadcasts of sports is, in my interpretation, is 10 times better than a TV broadcast, only because it's much more descriptive. It has to be. If you don't describe what's going on there, the people who are listening won't understand what's happening. So you have to be very descriptive in radio. TV, of course, the cameras show almost everything.
Don't you think, though, that we're almost at the tipping point where you should be as descriptive on TV because we are 3-screen people? Yeah. We might have a TV on, we might be watching Twitter, we might be doing something else.
Yep.
So it's almost going to come full circle that maybe you should be as descriptive on TV.
Well, you should. but you shouldn't be overly descriptive on
Okay.
TV. You can get caught up in describing what's happening. By the time you get so into the description of a play, for instance, people have already seen it. So they've seen it, and then you can say, okay, it's like one of my pet peeves right now with television broadcasting of games is the constant replays of the same play. Show me your best replay. That's all I need. I don't need to see a guy getting tagged out at second base 4 times, and,
Right.
or the pitch is outside 3 times and not called a ball or strike when it should have been a ball. That's my pet peeve. Maybe nobody else has that. But
Interesting, because that's interesting because as I'm definitely 3-screen, 4-screen, looking out the window, and so I'm like, wait, I missed it. Do it again, and then I sit there and wait. I know I heard something,
Yep.
and they said, whoa, this is whatever, and I'm like, wait, play it again, play it again. So
But there are so many ways to get that play again too.
Absolutely.
That we didn't have 10 years ago.
when you look at Twitter, there it is,
I mean,
right?
yeah, like I said, I'm a big Yankee fan. I don't get all the Yankee games, of course, and then I can go on my phone and find out the big guy hit a home run. I can see the home run right there.
Right.
So there are ways to get that now.
We could do a whole different series on what this has done to local sports
Oh, yeah.
television, but that's a different
Yep.
topic for a different day.
Yep.
Before we wrap up this quick segment here, as you're talking to students who say, I want to be a sports broadcaster, what are some very beginning, initial, 2 or 3 tips? Hey, if you say this is what you want to do, what's your next step?
Well, I think one of the things you need to do is be descriptive of everything, not just sports. If you're watching this now, you look around your classroom and see what's in your classroom that you never really paid attention to, and then close your eyes and try to describe it to yourself or to somebody else if you want to, but what you just saw. And it's amazing how much you will retain. Now, how much you retain later is another story. But for the time being, you need to know that information now. You can describe what's going on. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at 3 cameras. I got a video screen to my right. I mean, I can tell you that this countertop's got brown and black. I mean, things that I look at, I pick up, and it's just the way I am. To be descriptive, play-by-play doesn't have to be just of a game. It can be play-by-play of a parade. It can be play-by-play of people shopping in the grocery store. I don't know if you start doing it in the bread department, they may kick you out of the store. But in your mind is what I'm talking
Right.
about. So, description is everything when it comes to play-by-play.
And that's going to be a muscle that we're going to have to develop, because if you've ever walked on a college campus, everyone is looking at their phone.
Yep.
Myself included. I'm not judging,
Yeah.
but we all walk and scroll instead of looking around and observing at what
Yeah.
we're looking at.
A good
right?
example is if you drive the same road all the time, and all of a sudden somebody's driving you down that road and you're in the passenger side, you see things that you never saw before because you're able to do it more because you got to pay attention to driving. But when you're the passenger, you say, well, I never realized that. I've gone by this 100 times. But you saw it, and now it's starting to register in your head. Same thing with the play-by-play.
Okay.
And the preparation for it, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later on. But when you prepare for it individually and it's not there for you, you retain more of it.
Okay.
So I would know that Joe Smith just intercepted a pass in football. It's his 5th interception because I wrote that down last night. I remember that kind of thing. And not everybody is that as observant of things like that as I am, maybe, and some are better than I am at it. But for me, it works. And that's the thing, you've got to find out what's going to work for you, not for what you think everybody should sound like.
Okay, perfect. So we start with being descriptive. We start with being observant. We start with describing the world around you.
Yep.
And then watching TV, watching a game on TV, and practicing it there.
Yeah.
All right? Okay, we'll be back with more and Jeff Dorsey.